Welcome to another episode of the Down Under Stormtrooper. Today it's forearm day. I'm going to be trimming these down so that they fit my body a little bit better. Out of the box, the way I received them, they were actually quite large. The tops I'm not too concerned about, but the bottoms here you can see down near the wrist, it's just swimming. So even with a little bit of padding that I'll put on the inside of the forearms, that's just way too much space there. Because these were put together with super glue, what I need to do is actually put these forearms into the freezer. And what that will do is make the super glue a little bit more fragile. And that way I should be able to try and break the seal apart and remove the cover strip from the forearm. The thing I'm going to be conscious about when I am resizing these forearms is, this is the front seam here. And the cover strip, the moulding for the forearm where the cover strip lies, is really quite tight there. I don't know if you can see how that's putting together. So what I'm going to focus on is not trimming this edge at all. I want to keep that moulding there so that it's raised there and meets the cover strip properly. Whereas the back of the forearm, I've got a little bit more flexibility about what I can trim. I'm going to be taking an even amount on either side. When you're sizing your forearms, it's a good idea to wear your undersuit. That way you're making sure you're getting a nice snug fit and it's not getting sort of caught on any other type of clothing if you have another sort of long sleeves shirt on or something like that. So I just mentioned my approach for getting this into the freezer. So I've been running this under some warm water to try and get a bit of the water underneath here and then put it in the freezer. And the idea being is that that water, once it starts freezing, will actually start to expand and will help the process for me. But it may take multiple attempts to rinsing this under water and putting it back in the freezer to get this off all the way. Generally speaking, I'm leaving it in the freezer either overnight or for a good 4 hours or so. So I'm just using a bit of firm force, but nothing too much. I don't want to be tearing or wrecking the plastic at all. So that looks like that's about the best I'm going to be able to get out of that. So I'm going to go back to getting the Dremel out and cleaning that up. Okay, that's the cover strips removed. So I was careful there when I was removing the cover strips that with the cutting blade that I wasn't going into the actual armour too much. What I really wanted to do was just make sure I was able to get in just where the super glue seam was, and I found that as I cut through that, it actually started to lift off and peel away. And I didn't get too close to the existing armour with the cutting blade. I swapped over to one of the stone blades, and I was then able to just smooth out the rest of the cover strip that was remaining, and I found I was able to get it down to the layer where the super glue was, and it just fell apart. So it is a little bit ugly there, but once that's assembled again and there's another cover strip on, you're never going to be able to see that. Alright, so my next steps right now are I'm just going to temporarily get some painter's tape and just put this back together again. So I was happy with the top of the forearms, the uppers there, they fit really well. So I'll start with just securing those again, and then I'm going to just slowly decrease the size of the wrists. So I deliberately just written down some markers here. So I've got like the front of the armour, don't trim from there. And that's because that's the bit of the armour that everyone's going to see. So I don't really want to take anything away from that. And as I mentioned before, you can actually see the recessed edge that's in here. And I don't want the cover strip to exceed that. So that's cut pretty perfectly for that cover strip. But it's the back of the forearm where I've actually got a little bit more give where I can remove some of the plastic from. So I first started with measuring the wrist as it is currently cut, and it's a 29 centimetre circumference. And so when I just reducing the size down to 27 seemed to be about the right fit for me. So what I'm going to do is just mark that again. I'm going to put a centimetre off, so I want to take it off evenly off either side. So you can see here how I've marked that just a centimetre in off either edge, and I'm just going to try and test fit that again. Okay, I think that's a good start. I don't want to take too much off to begin with, so let's start with just that little bit there. I'm going to use the score and snap method to get a nice sharp line on that. Okay, so that's it. That's the forearm now resized. I'm really happy with that. It's quite comfortable at the top still because we didn't really touch that. And then down the bottom, I've got plenty of room to be able to get my fist through that, but it's not going to wobble around anywhere near as much as it used to. And just to compare, here's my original Waltz Trooper Factory forearm from the different kit, my old kit. And you can see pretty much on par now with the actual size of the circumference of the wrist. So we'll pull those together. You can see that they're very similar now in size. So before I glue the cover strips back on, what I'm going to do is take some measurements of the upper, middle and the wrist for the forearm so that I can transfer those sizings across to the left hand side. Got a fresh sheet of ABS plastic here. I'm just going to measure out the forearm. So width of the cover strips for the forearms needs to be 15mm. I also like to round off the cover strip as well. It's been well over 24 hours since I glued the cover strip on the forearm here, so I'm just going to take all of the clamps off and the magnets. Okay, now while that cover strip won't be at full strength yet, I'll give it a little bit more. It will be enough for me to be able to put a cover strip on this next piece. All right, let's leave that for another 24 hours. So what you can see with this cover strip here is there's a bit of excess glue that's bled out from underneath the cover strip. And the great thing with the 6000 is that you can clean that up really easily. So what I want to do, I want to make sure that I'm not going to be pulling glue from out underneath the cover strip. So I'm just going to very carefully score a bit of a line here to break through the glue. Being very careful there. And then I can just pull that up. And you can see that just pulls off nice and easily. Okay, so that's the resized right forearm ready to go. Could probably do with a little bit more cleaning up. I'll continue to clean that up with some isopropyl alcohol, and obviously before I put it in for any approval submissions, I'll be doing a full polish over the entire kit. I will also put some padding on the inside here just to sort of help stop any wobble. That'll make it nice and firm while I'm wearing it. Then I just need to repeat the process on the left forearm, and then that'll be good to go. So until next time, may those costuming gods be with you.